Hello there, this is Optimus Omega, and this Halloween I decided to do my first Let's Play video. I will be playing the tutorial stage of Dark Souls Born to Die Edition. I am recording this audio after the fact, so it's not going to perfectly line up in all likelihood. I also apologize for the poor audio quality that this video is almost certainly going to have. Please bear with me. So here we see me creating the character for this playthrough. I am basing this character off of a character I play in Dungeons and Dragons, a female rogue named Mercedes. You'll see me going through all the various character creation options through here. At this point, I was still trying to record unsuccessfully audio as I was playing. I gave that up partway through, so for this first little part you'll see me taking my sweet ass effing time, as I try to figure things out. So here we go, Mercedes. Throughout this video I'm also going to be talking about the Dark Souls series and why I enjoy it so much. Right, so here we see me going through the different classes. The other character that I play in this game is a wanderer. I like characters that are really agile, and I like to focus on dexterity. This time around I decided to go as a thief because, as I said, I was trying to base this character off of my Dungeons and Dragons character as best I could. Thieves start off with the Master Key, so I ended up going with the Tiny Beings ring for the HP benefits. Now going through the cosmetic stuff. So I'm actually a fairly new fan of the Dark Souls series. As of this last year, I started playing Demon Souls, and I started playing Born to Die edition of the first Dark Souls just a few weeks ago. I haven't finished either game. As I said, this is my second character for Dark Souls. I don't know if I'll continue to use her, because I have yet to finish the game with my other character. But I wanted to start fresh from the beginning for this Let's Play video, just to give the game, a sense of cohesion. I didn't want to just jump in the middle of something later on in the game. Oh, and just, for those who haven't played this game, of course there's going to be some spoilers for the opening area, so if you prefer not to have that, obviously you probably shouldn't be watching this video. I would also like to apologize in advance, because if you don't like swearing, I swear a lot. So, Mom, if you're watching this, sorry. Alright, so here we go. This is the opening cinematic. I had considered just skipping over this, but there's one element in particular, one design aspect that I wanted to talk about. So for now, we'll just go through big giant dragon form. I love dragons. They're one of my favorite fantasy creatures. So the fact that they play such a big part of the lore of the Souls series is just one more thing that I enjoy about it. But that's not what I want to talk about. At least not for now. Here we see some of the very, very bleak imagery that this series is known for.
And found the souls of lords within the flame.
So here we see, yes.
Nito,
first of the dead. This was the main reason why I decided not to skip the tutorial, because I just love that design. I love that concept. For the Soul series, it really makes a lot of sense that the first person to ever die would be this huge, important figure in the lore and the mythos, and that was just such a badass design.
With the strength of lords, they challenge the
Here we go. Those big important characters fighting against the dragon.
Witches weaved great firestorms.
I just finished reading up the lore, the story entries for the Tarkir block in Magic the Gathering, which also dealt really heavily with dragons and humanity fighting against them, and wibbly wobbly timey wimey, which I also love, so that was a fun read. We just finished, they just showed Seath the Scaleless. And I imagine that if you're a dragon, having no scales would be a little bit painful. I mean, all your fleshy bits constantly exposed.
Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless night.
And again, just that design, I love all the effort that Trump Software puts into the design of their games. Not, visual design, but also, and I'll probably talk about this a bit later, just the layout of their areas. It's some of the best level design in any game series, and the fact that it's so consistent just speaks highly of the passion that these people put into their work.
Yes, indeed.
Here we see the bleak undead asylum.
And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north.
Even their really, really dark and depressing areas, of which there are a few throughout the Souls series, and I include Bloodborne in that as well. Even the really depressing stages just have so much effort put into their visuals and their layout. And there we see Mercedes. So like I said, I don't know when I'll get back to playing as Mercedes. If you like this playthrough, let me know. I may or may not continue it. I can't promise anything. My life schedule doesn't allow for a lot of really huge investment into games, which kind of sucks, because I love games that suck you in and immerse you. I'm the type of guy who has to... It's not uncommon for me to spend hours at a time playing a game, as opposed to some people who, you know, can just play like for 30 minutes at a time. And here we just see me looking through all the various cells, exploring, examining this area. This was my second time playing through this area, so I was already... I wanted to kind of just, you know, quickly get through it. I didn't want to linger too long, but at the same time I did also want to check and see if there was anything that I had missed the first time through. We just saw me... I didn't notice you saw me looking at the asylum demon through the bars there. I didn't even notice that the first time around. I also didn't savagely murder those dudes in the hallway the first time around. I didn't even know you could. This time around, I decided to play a little more of a ruthless character, in no small part because, and other people who have played this Souls series will back me up on this, you kind of want to save up as many souls as you can. That's the currency, that's the experience, you know, that's how you upgrade your stats, how you upgrade and buy new weapons. So having as much as you can is not such a bad thing. And here we see the courtyard of the asylum, and I will, as we'll see throughout this gameplay area, the entire area here, the asylum, basically revolves around this courtyard, and we'll see that through clever level design, it keeps looping back to this area. As I said, I'm a big fan of the level designs of From Software. I probably sound like a broken record, but I just really can't stress enough how much I love their design. One of my favorite game areas is the Boletarian Palace from Demon's Souls. That was just such a gorgeous level, and the layout was just superb. And here we see me running past the Asylum Demon, because I already knew you didn't have to fight him there. And here we see another bonfire. I learned the hard way in an earlier in my other playthrough that bonfires don't count as checkpoints until you've actually rested at them, so the urge to make a bad Skyrim joke is so strong, I must resist. Changing the equipment. You'll also see me going through and reading the flavor text for these items, just because I like flavor text. So everything is set up. Time to proceed. Guy aims like a stormtrooper, which is really not a fair joke to stormtroopers because they're only terrible at aiming when the plot requires them to be. When they're required to be badasses, they are badasses. Narrative. Alright, so I've traversed the white light and there looking through the jail cell. And as I said, here we see the courtyard that I was just in before. This entire area basically loops around this central area. Shortcut unlocked. That got me the first time I played through it, I imagine it probably gets a lot of people. And there we see me delivering my first critical hit of the game. Well, of this game. I've done them before, obviously, in my other playthrough.
Oh, you.
Alright, so here we meet Exposition Dude.
I'm done. I'll die soon.
And took me a while to realize that this is, if I'm not mistaken, the same guy who dropped the corpse into the jail cell at the beginning of the game to give you the key that you needed to escape. That drove me a little bit crazy because I wondered why that guy did that. I didn't realize that they resolved it within this tutorial. I kind of forgot about it, but once I realized that this guy was helping you out from the beginning, a whole bunch of stuff kind of clicked in my head.
An undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell.
So we see this guy.
After death.
He's wearing a lot of heavy armor. I said before during the character creation, but I prefer characters in lighter equipment. I like agile characters, fast characters. I like to move around a lot. I prefer to avoid blows rather than taking them. I've tried wearing heavy armor before in Demon Souls and in Dark Souls. It just doesn't really suit my preferred playstyle. There we see the ragdoll corpse getting caught on my feet, as happens quite frequently in this game. Just a little minor thing that annoys me, not hugely significant. It doesn't really affect much. It's just aesthetically, I just don't really like having all those corpses dragging along my feet. Trying to be a little bit fancy with my sword fighting here. Those have been dispatched. Another stormtrooper. Right. Slightly more intimidating guy here. I remember when I first fought this guy in my very first playthrough, he seemed a lot more intimidating than he did this time around, as we just delivered a critical blow. So at this point I was debating whether or not I should use one of my Estus flasks or go back to that bonfire. I decided that I'd rather have all my Estus flasks for the upcoming confrontation. There we see the area that leads into the next stage out of this tutorial. So yeah, so I decided that I was going to go back to the bonfire, even though that meant that those enemies I just killed would respawn and I'd have to fight them again. I decided, they're not really that tough, and the extra souls would, I'm not going to complain about that. Rest at the bonfire. Make my way back. Being a little more cautious this time around because I didn't want to lose. The whole point of going back to that bonfire was to restore my health before going into the next fight. Kind of would defeat the purpose if I ended up losing all that health again by being reckless. Okay, so for those of you who have never played any Souls games, what you just saw there was a phantom. The idea behind Dark Souls is that although you can kind of see glimpses of other players as they play through it. So that was another player playing through this area. Alright, so taking down the Asylum Demon. And just look at that gorgeously grotesque design work. Having played through this boss fight before, knowing the gist of it, knowing that this is a fairly easy boss by Dark Souls standards, I wasn't too intimidated this time, but for first-time players, this is just a great way to like throw you into it. It's like such a detailed model, really intimidating first time around. All of his fleshy fatty bits wobbling around as he strikes, twerking at me. Demon twerking. But it's almost done. So at this point, I again decided to backtrack to that bonfire. I already knew it wasn't really necessary, but there have been instances before where I have lost a rather significant amount of souls because I didn't backtrack to a bonfire after beating a boss. So yeah, you could say I'm a little paranoid in that regard. It's the same way I constantly resave the same save file because I'm so afraid of losing data. But in the Souls series, I think it's not such a huge thing to say that it's probably better to be a little bit overly paranoid than overly reckless.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated
So,
that one
wrapping
day
things
an
up
undead
here,
chosen
and we're going to end on a huge fucking bird! Alright, so that was my first Let's Play video ever. Why did I choose Dark Souls to be my first Let's Play video? I'm gonna get so much hate, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you'd like to see more Let's Play videos, Dark Souls or otherwise, let me know. It's been something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I finally decided to try it out. As I said, this is going to roughly coincide with Halloween. I figured Dark Souls would be an appropriate game to do a Halloween Let's Play for. So this has been Optimus Omega, and signing out now.